Every time that somebody plants a seed, they always expect to get results, and no matter how long it takes, definitely results have to come in, and once results come in, it becomes a source of joy. Obviously, in one of the episodes of our favorite agricultural show, Ulimi, we covered Mr. Mubanga from Apex area. Exactly, he's got 2 fish ponds and of course the other one as well. And by the time that we came here the last time, he had stocked both ponds with different kind of fish, and he was hoping that at the end of the day he was going to get results. Imagine today he just gave us a call to say, hey guys, I'm here to make sure that we harvest. So we are back at Mr. Mubanga's farm, and we are here to witness the harvesting of the fish that has taken close to 6 months to get to the size and to make sure that, you know, it's ready and it's fully ready, grown for the market. Welcome to this episode's Ulimi. I'm your host Nelson, and of course shortly we're definitely going to be interacting as we are looking at the process of harvesting fish after the whole entire process of feeding these is definitely done. Now you understand just how much labor is involved when you're harvesting your fish, especially if the pond still has at least a minimal level of water. It's not very easy to, you know, to rush and of course get the fish so that you can be able to process it. Mr. Mubanga is here with me, and he was actually showing me a few things in terms of, you know, when you're adding diet and supplement to the fish. Okay, so he has showed me a moringa branch, and on top of that a moringa tree that barely has leaves as well. Mr. Mubanga, thank you so much for inviting us today as well, and good to see you after such a long time. Your fish is finally ready and ready for the market.
Yes, indeed, it is.
So how long has it taken, you know, for the fish to be?
This one which is here is 10 months now.
Okay.
Yeah. But I didn't want to take it out at 10 months. I wanted it to grow a bit more, except there is something I want to do with the base of the fish pond. Okay. Yeah. All right. It's like there's a small leakage, and I don't want to have any leakage because I use water from the borehole.
Okay. So now, 10 months. 10 months. How much feed has been involved?
In feeding? In feeding, there is the natural food we buy from Novatech. But you know, fish eats all manner of vegetation.
Okay. All manner of vegetation.
Yeah,
exactly. For example, I think
like almost every vegetable that we eat, they eat.
Okay.
You put in chihuahua, they will eat. You put in moringa leaves, they will eat.
Okay.
The best that they like most is Ibondwe, because Ibondwe, if you pluck the whole thing from the ground, including the roots.
So are there any health benefits of, or do you deliberately put moringa in the fish pond? Or maybe it just falls in there?
No, I just put it there. It's a very big food supplement for the fish.
Okay.
And they love it. Okay. You can see they've eaten everything, including the skin of the branch.
Okay.
Ibondwe, it's the same. They eat the leaves, they also eat the skin of the ibondwe. And it adds to the fish nutrition. Even the sweetness of the fish actually comes from mostly the vegetation that it eats.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Okay.
You see, the difference in the taste of the fish is where the fish is coming from. The fish that comes from a sandy river, which has a lot of sand without vegetation, will taste not as good as the fish which comes from the swamps. The swamps where there's vegetation and everything.
Okay.
Those things add a lot of value to the taste of the fish. And I also want to do that.
Okay.
I want my fish to taste much better than most of the fish.
Okay.
And what I put in here actually makes it taste quite good.
So now, when you look at this branch of moringa, it has still retained that nice green, soft, stature.
Yeah.
Does it mean that all this period when it was in the pond, it started
didn't dry
growing?
up. No, it just didn't dry up.
Okay.
And as it doesn't dry up, it's even easier for the fish to get the greens
Okay.
of the same back.
Okay.
Yeah. They start with the leaves, they finish all the leaves, then they follow this. And eventually they go to the back itself and they leave it green like it's happened to them.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. So now, as you are rearing your fish, how do you tell that my fish is now has fully grown and ready to be supplied on the market?
Well, the normal feeding process, if we follow what Novatec tells us, for commercial fish, is supposed to be around 6 months. And that 6 months means the fish should be about this size. This is the average size, which is about half a kg to going towards a kg. Like it would get to 6.7, 0.8. Eventually, it even gets to a kilo.
Okay.
Yeah. But when it gets to a kilo, if it is in the situation that it is, where there is a lot of fish in one pond, as it grows, the space also reduces. When that space reduces, the growth rate is also reduced. Unless you supplement that water with a lot of air, a lot of oxygen. Like you can see my small gadget there. That is an air pump. The pump which is inside is like an air pump, which is pumped by the solar energy. So if I want to add a bit more of air, I just use that pump so that it bubbles into the water so that the dissolved oxygen is a lot. If you see the water now, it's very dark green and it's a lot of those debris. If the fish gets too much of that, sometimes it doesn't enjoy the food.
Okay.
It has to get a modest quantity of food. But the only goodness is that quantity of food that is there will make the fish survive, as long as there is also dissolved oxygen in there, and the fish can survive for quite a long time without the food supplement from the food that I buy from Novatec.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So now, in an event that a farmer runs out of commercial food that you buy from the market, what is the next, or what is the alternative?
The biggest alternative is, like what I said, the vegetables. It eats all manner of vegetables.
Okay.
So when that is half full like that, it needs to go to the fridge if you are putting everything in the fridge. Sorry, by the way.
Okay.
We are digressing.
No, it's okay.
But as this fill up, we don't want the fish to die in there, so that by the time we take it there, it has started losing that value.
Okay.
Yeah. No, when the fish dies, it starts decomposing almost immediately. The best thing is it goes into the refrigerator so that it dies in there, so that it retains its texture and the food taste.
As a farmer, what is the target size of the fish before you take it out of the pond and you supply it on the market?
The size is normally said to be 0.4 kg, but it would even go between 0.4 and 0.8 depending on how long you leave it in the pond and the manner you give it the food. If you give it reasonable food for it to continue growing, it will grow. But at 0.6, for instance, it slows down in growth. It doesn't get to 0.8 very quickly. That's why they say the food that you're putting in actually might be wasted, because what you're putting in is not making it grow as quickly as the food that it's consuming, which means you might have a loss in the food by the food that you put in, because the food will be more expensive for you to put, but the weight that the fish attains is not equal to the kind of food, the quantity of food that you put in. So it's advisable to get the fish out as quickly as you can when it reaches a certain size. However, if you have some supplements like at a farm, like this farm where I have a lot of moringa and a lot of other vegetables, I add the vegetables to the food that is there, and the fish will still retain and continue growing for a bit longer.
You're still watching Ulimi. Let us join the guys in the pond as we are now in the process of harvesting, taking out the fish off the pond and supplying it on the Zambian market. So Mr. Mubanga, every time that the fish, obviously when you harvest, you have some provision that you just showed us here, the cold room. Exactly. What is the purpose of taking the fish quickly to the cold room?
Ordinarily, every farmer has to have a way of getting fish to the market. If they want to sell it fresh, they have to take it to the market very quickly. In this hot weather like today, if I left the fish there for more than 3-4 hours, it will start getting the flies onto it, and then it will go bad. If it goes bad, it's not good for the market, and in this competitive world, you can't sell. So the best way is to have a means of storing the fish if you want to sell it fresh as it is in fresh feed. So here, what I have is a cold room that was made here. And this cold room, we left it on from 6 hours in the morning. And so far, it has gone to minus 20 degrees centigrade. With that temperature, if I put the fish there, it will just go on drying. And as it is drying, it's also getting frozen. So it will be frozen as fresh as it is, instead of it dying from the sun and you bring the dead fish here. By the time it freezes, that temperature change that has been there will affect the fish.
Okay. How do you sustain
my cold room?
Your cold room? How do you sustain it first?
It's an interesting thing. It's a Zesco actually.
Okay.
Zesco power. But like I said, we started it at 6. So it's cold enough, freezing cold. As you can see, the temperature is always, it's going to minus something. When I put the fish there, it will freeze within the night. When it's frozen in the night, it doesn't matter which deep freezer you take it to. it will maintain that temperature for a lot of the time as long as the deep freezer is also working.
Okay.
So the initial stage of making it completely cold is by the use of the cold room. And when it's frozen cold in the cold room, you take it anywhere, it will be safe for that period, including the transportation time. Sometimes if you have frozen it properly and you pack it very properly, I have taken frozen fish from here to the copper belt and somebody eats it as fresh fish, but I harvested it here. As long as you pack it properly, you can take it somewhere, especially if you use the cook box. If you put in the cook box, frozen as it is, and the cook box is covered properly, you can transport it over quite a long distance.
How about when you're just from harvesting it, and you just take it, sell it to somebody, and they put it in their deep freezer? Can that work?
That works very well. It works very well as long as they can do everything. They can even process, disembowel it, clean it, and put it in a deep freezer, as long as it's not put in back. The problem with heating it in the deep freezer as it is, if it gets full, if the deep freezer gets full, the fish which is on the sides of the deep freezer is what is going to be frozen. The fish that is in the center of the deep freezer will take a long time to get frozen. And as long as it takes that time to get frozen, it doesn't taste as good as the fish which freezes very quickly. I also do drying. If I want to do a big back drying, I've prepared a drying house, and just like a cold room is here, if I want fish to be dried, I'll take it. As long as it's dead, we just clean it properly. We put it in the drying house. We put a modest fire there, and it will be dried. In addition to drying, there is smoking. Smoking is adding value by actually improving even the taste by putting in the materials that make the fish taste even better, to the fish, so that when you dry it, it tastes very good. I have some dry fish in the fridge if you want to see it, and I will show you the curing place. And most of these fish will go there for curing, because I don't want all of it to be sold as frozen fish.
In an event that your cold room or your farm is hit by load shedding, what happens to the cold room? What happens to the fish in the cold room?
The load shedding that is now is for 4 hours. That I know. Meaning, if I put the fish here, it gets frozen. Even if there is load shedding, it doesn't affect the fish much, as long as I do not open the door. If I keep the door opened, that's when I allow hot air to go in and the fish would go bad. But otherwise, whenever there is no power in the cold room or wherever the fish is kept, don't open the doors. Leave the fish behind the door so that it stays there. You only open the door when power comes. That's when you allow hot air to go in, because when you close that, the freezer will continue freezing.
So ladies and gentlemen, how about we also take another trip and we go to where now the drying of fish takes place, the process of smoking also takes place, so that we can be able to have an experience in both angles, how to store fish as fresh as it is, and also how to store fish as dry fish and also as smoked fish. So at least, today we also had the pleasure of having a piece of this tasty, nice fish. Something that has caught my attention is the taste is pretty much different from the fish that you actually get on the market. I don't know what additives Mr. Mubanga really adds on his fish, but trust me, this is very, very tasty. This is very, very tasty fish. And I also love the steak itself. I think it's good, very, very good steak. And you can imagine that, this fish has actually attracted the attention of the Zambia Army, because I'm standing next to Kaneo Maimboa from the Zambia Army, who came all the way, took time off his busy schedule just to come and witness the harvesting, and on top of that, to have fun with us and also to have a piece of this beautiful, beautiful, tasty, delicious fish as well. Kaneo, thank you so much for giving us an opportunity to talk to you.
You're welcome.
You've been a client of Mr. Mubanga for quite some time.
Yes, please.
And you've been testing, his smoked fish.
Yes.
Exactly. How were you introduced to him first?
No, I have a colleague who normally comes to buy some chicken from U.S. Embassy, Mr. Ngoma. He normally buys chickens from my poultry. So he told me that he one time came here to buy some fish. And then knowing that I'm like one person who like outgoing with the farming, I decided to drive here and I met Mr. Mubanga. One thing that I found out from him was that unlike other people that smoke the chicken, the fish, the way he does it is different. He uses, instead of just any sawdust, which can be at times poisonous, he uses the fresh leaves of moringa and then use hot coal and then put in a kiln and heat the temperature at very high temperatures. And that moringa aroma mixed with the hot air makes the fish taste different. Unlike any other sawdust, which might at times be poisonous. So even when you taste it, you notice that the taste is so different from any other taste. So from that time on, I realized this is the best place to come from, other than going all the way to Cafe to seek fish.
Interesting. And from that time, I'm sure that you've tested a couple of producers, smoking fish and all that. What difference have you noticed in terms of the taste and the scent as well, the smell?
The difference is so huge. It has. I would want to say that I think I have introduced my colleagues to this place so that they taste of this good fish, because most of the dried and smoked fish that we've been eating, they are not as good as this one which Mr. Mubanga is smoking. And it's really encouraging that this gentleman has done so great. I think these are the people that require a lot of support so that they can venture into higher heights.
Well, Kaneo, thank you so much for taking time to celebrate with us, the harvesting of fish with Mr. Mubanga, and hopefully to see you very soon.
Thank you very much. I can't even buy the fresh fish this evening because they're still harvesting. The harvest is still going on. I'll come tomorrow. But it was just a pleasure to see you also being part of the harvesting team when we was having me. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Yes. All right, so now, Mr. Mubanga, from the time that we came here, your boys have been draining water from the pond, and you can even tell that even now, they are still struggling just to catch fish properly because water is still there. Exactly. It's quite a tedious process, draining, the ponds.
No, I think the method that we have used today is a very difficult method. We don't have a proper net. A proper net is supposed to cover the whole distance, the whole width of the pond.
Okay.
So that you come with all the fish.
Okay.
If you bring it in one corner, you get all of it in one scoop.
Okay.
Now we have a net which is almost half. So we are doing it by halves. we collect the fish that is in that, but there is a lot of fish that is running around, actually running away from us. So it has become a tedious thing because one, the net is not properly done. Two, even the drainage of the water hasn't been done completely. If we did more draining of the water and the water became shallow, we would have just been picking the fish.
Okay.
Yes.
What are the advantages of, constructing the pond with proper water outlets?
Like now, there is a very big advantage if you elevate the pond so that even the draining of the water, you may not even use fuel. You may just use gravity by opening the outlet so that water goes out using the outlet. However, in some of the ponds, you put it in a place where there is no slope. And you find that you have to drain the water by using a pump, which is very expensive. You either use, in this case, I'm trying to use both. I'm actually using one solar pump, and the solar pump is not very effective. We need an electrical pump. However, even with this, the water is going out slowly by gravitational force. But the distance and all the things that we have put here, I think we are also learning something. We will very, very soon change the depth of where the water is supposed to be going.
So now that we're almost done harvesting the fish, how long will it take for you to fill it up with more fish and start the process again?
All things being equal, what I'm going to do is I'm going to inspect the base of my fish pond, see if there are any weak points, any leakages and so on. And then we are going to mend those areas. After we have done that, maybe for the next 8 years, we will not need to mend it again.
Okay.
Because this is the first time that I want to check since we constructed this.
Okay.
But I'm taking out all the fish so that all the water should be drained out and it should be dry enough. And probably in the next 2 weeks, I might actually call you and ask you to come and see me putting fingerlings in.
Okay. That will be another awesome experience.
Yes.
Well, today has been an awesome experience. Thank you so much for allowing us to be part of this beautiful, wonderful moment when you are getting the fruit out of your labor. And congratulations once again.
Thanks very much indeed.
And thank you so much for the tasty fish as well. I think your fish, I think this is the first time that I'm eating fish that tastes like that, especially after being smoked. I'm yet to eat the fresh one just boiled. I'm yet to taste it as well.
Oh,
but
yeah,
that one is smoked.
You get a sample.
Wow, I'm telling you, it's an amazing.
You get an example of the.
All right, so ladies and gentlemen, like Mr. Mubanga has indicated, we are still coming here because in the next few weeks and so, he's going to be cleaning up the pond and just mending up here and there. But once the patching up is done, when he's going to be restocking it with fingerlings, I can assure you that our journey does not end here. We are still coming back once again.